when you begin to look at the negativity and the evil that's being practiced by so-called politicians, whom supposedly we select and elect, and both of those things we do not do anymore. We think we do them, but we don't. And you look at that Supreme Court decision now about the Obama so-called, again, insurance plans and stuff, and you look at Scalia, who does what he usually does, and his shadow follows host, and then you look now on our website. We posted so much on our website now, anybody can get the picture. Look up on our website, and you see that double sun so clear, and what's around that sun, an energy field. What is that energy field? The thing that makes that sun exist. It's the mind of the universal prime creator's consciousness. You're seeing minds around you. People talk about the Akashic record. They talk about the planetary soul. These are things that let you know that you're in the creator's mind. And as long as you're in the creator's mind, you have help. But when you begin to desert that, and when you begin to look only on these things that are mundane, materialistic, and say, this is what I need, you say, well, this is what happens now. There is a showdown now between the spiritual, the metaphysical, and the physical, and the mundane. There's a showdown of politicians and those who are not electricians, if they're not even electricians, they're statisticians. There are people now who must now come out with truth. And every truth now will show you that almost everything else we've learned has been a lie. And now as they're revealing the lies, you see that the liars have been your teachers. They've been your doctors. They've been your scientists. And now when they don't know what to do, they start coming out with things to make their dreams come true. I have on the website there, and I had it on all week long, a podcast. It was not some of the movies that we showed when we did the webinar, but it was a podcast, and you could listen to all these things about how zombies are made. Even the whole way that zombies got started with the word Nzumbe, and the fact that there was Vaudou, which they now call voodoo, and you call on a creature or a god on the fourth dimension, and then they begin to use things to make people lose their minds and work on the neurotransmitters of the body. And so we've told you now, we saw up on there, a mosquito up on our net. Look at it. It's right there looking at you again. That mosquito is artificial. It has a camera. It has venom. And they release supposedly thousands of them. Now they said from Wright-Patterson. I think it's from Plum Island. All I know is this country and whoever in cahoots with the scientists who work for anybody, if it's evil, have made these daggone things. And now they're releasing them. We already talked to people who are TI'd, which means they've already been technically inserted. They already are going through hell. Every day of their life, they put a chip into them. I talk with people and young mothers now who are giving birth, and they're telling them on their last trimester, those last 3 months, you got to get 28 shots. And if not, the bacteria and stuff that will attack your baby will kill your baby. What kind of foolishness is that? And you know, I made this statement before. When you are conceived, and conception means to conceive mentally, when that baby is with sperm and egg is united, and then it begins to attach to the uterine wall. Yeah, I got a little science, I'm doing it, but I'm showing you this. Then cells begin to grow around it. By the time you reach maturity, you have over 75 trillion cells, but they're your cells. They're cells that have grown around the matrix that let your soul enter into it. And when we can't control those cells or influence those cells, we are lost souls. That means we formed a physical body that we have nothing to do with, and now we must let everybody else control our physical bodies. If you have melanin, and if you have a pineal gland dysfunction, and if you have a hypothalamus, you must take over those cells and tell those cells what you want it to do. If we fail as souls to use things around us, suppose the Creator failed us, and we're nothing but the mitochondria in the mind and the body of the Creator. Suppose he or she would feel like our souls did, we've been deserted. Now we give to a criminal element the ability to tell us how many shots we should get, when we should take the shots, to tell us what kind of disease is being released, and they're making up names nowadays. There's this guy, John Vanderhaven, who made up the name Solanum. They said this Solanum is a virus, and this virus gets into your body. They're not even sure how, injection, bite, whatever. but it eats into your brain and eats up your brain cells, and now you become a zombie. But at the same time they tell you that, they tell you that they've got this new mosquito that if it bites you and so, you can become a zombie. Then they tell you if you take in some of these drugs laced with bath salts, and bath salts is another nice way of saying drugs, dimethyltryptophan, all of these kind of different things again, and you mix it with marijuana, you become a zombie. It means that they must be making zombies, or they must be doing things to people to stop them from being human, yes, and make them more of a mankind, and now let them lose their souls at a time when the planet is begging for souls to rise so he can go to a higher consciousness. You know, it's interesting that there's a British corporation called Oxitec. It produces genetic manipulated organisms. Did you hear me? It's in existence to produce genetically manipulated organisms. It's a rival now to Monsanto. You know, so here we got, if we didn't have one bad one, here comes another bad one again. They have now what they call the wall-bound bacteria. It's synthesized into a mosquito which will produce what they call now the dengue fever. Don't even ask me what the dengue fever is. It's something else nasty. What I'm saying is they're finding ways to take you out. And I don't mean on a good date. And if you allow yourself to date these people, to take these people to heart, and to take them into your body, your minds, into your baby's mind, your wife, your husband's mind, your girlfriend, your boyfriend's mind, your community's mind, your family's mind, you will lose your mind. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take the souls of the planet, many of which have melanin, many of which are very spiritual, some of which have melanin and are not spiritual, but they're trying to back off so that the bad guys can take over. What are they afraid of? They're afraid because this planet is going into the fourth dimension, fast getting there. They're afraid that as this planet goes to the fourth dimension, she will be in the fifth dimension. And on the fifth dimension, thoughts are things. And where thoughts are things, you can create your own reality. You can create your heaven while still on Earth. And Earth is asking for volunteer cells to not become cancerous in her body, but to help her ascend, to give her that power to ascend. And what are we doing? We're going backwards. 28 shots to have a baby. Telling women now for the first time that they have to have, what do they call these things? Cesarean sections. Because they can't, tell them they can't feed their baby bonding milk, which is what the effluvium of the mother's mammary will give, but they got to give them cow's milk and pig's milk and actually creature's milk, because you don't know what's in that daggone milk. There's a time now when you see that double sun on our website, we showed it to you, that is the proof that there are two suns. That is a sun now that is changing things on this planet. That's why many of the fires are happening, because they're trying to stop the planet from graduating to a higher sun ratio. They're trying to stop you from getting good food, from getting organic things. This is why they made the Terminator seed. And as we speak, last week they had another secret meeting of NATO. We got rid of them here supposedly in Chicago. They went down to Brazil. They went down to Rio de Janeiro. And they developed another treaty down there and started taxing the Brazilian farmers down there to grow some more genetically modified food. If you remember again, when Hugo Chavez found out about that, he said, just get some food that has some life force in it. Everybody that's trying to stand up for good, they're finding something to take apart, which must mean that they're afraid of something. You know what they're afraid of? They're afraid that as this planet goes into the fifth dimension, and you as souls wake up to the reason you incarnated in the first place, and you stand against them, that you will be their gods. And what kind of a dumb God would we be if we're still taking orders from somebody who tried to kill us physically, mentally, and spiritually, and tell them now that we're going to elect you some more? It's a time to select who you want. It's a time to stand up for something or fall for anything. And if your kids are not children, then treat them like baby goats. If they are children, stand up for them. If you can't stand